he goes, you want to go check out the studio? And I'm like, yeah. And you walk in, but sitting on a stand is an acoustic guitar. I'm like, what the hell's going on? He goes, you got to check this out, man. It's the best natural reverb I've ever heard in my life. And he starts playing. And I'm in there.
Okay, so you guys have lived this life in this industry for a very long time, decades. You have seen trends come and go.
Correct.
You have interacted with some of the top players in the world. You guys were side by side with these guys, right? And you're still performing at a top tier level. What are some crazy interactions you guys have had over the years? With
Gerard, actually,
some
Gerard,
artists?
no. I'm going to give Gerard. Gerard has one of the best because we talked about 𝙏𝘼𝙇𝙍𝙍, so I can bring it back up again. Gerard, 𝙏𝘼𝙍𝙍 was friends with Valerie Bertinellis, and Gerard used to go hang out at 5150.
Really?
All right, so I'll tell you this story.
This is the best one.
So earlier I mentioned I got the book that Steve Rosen wrote.
Yeah.
And I promised him once I finished it, I would tell him a very unique Eddie Van Halen story that he probably doesn't even know. So now he'll hear it first. Yeah. Yes. So, yes, Ali was very good friends with Valerie Bertinellis. I assume they still are. I don't know. And we got invited to go to their house. And before we were leaving...
Is this pre-cell phone? This is
Oh, yeah, it had to be.
Right.
1990.
I remember Gerard called me saying, holy shit, I'm going to I'm like, what? You know?
Well, but the crazy part of the story. So, Ali, we were up in Malibu. We were going to drive down. And we're leaving the house, and a bird flies into the window of the house. And we're like, what the heck was that? And we go outside, and this bird is on the ground. And I'm like, Ali, I think he's dead, No, we have to take the bird with us. We'll find a vet or something, right? And she loved animals. We had rabbits, all kinds of crazy stuff. So she gets a box, a towel, has the bird and the towel in the car from Malibu all the way down to where they live in the canyon. And we're looking, and you're right, there were no cell phones, so we couldn't start calling vets. We can't find anything that's open, anything we pass. So we finally pull up to the house, and there's a gate. He's got to buzz us in. Now, I'm excited. I had never met Eddie, and obviously he was
going to Eddie's house.
He was an idol of mine, right?
Right.
That's crazy.
And I never get really starstruck. I met a ton of people, but Eddie is like Eddie, right? So we pull up, and he opens the front door. He's at the front door, and we're in the driveway. And I remember this. He didn't have shoes on, jeans. And he opens and says, hey, what's going on? And Allie gets out of the car, and she goes, this bird got hurt. We're still trying to figure out. He's like, what? And I mean, the second we get right near him, the friggin' bird wakes up and flies right into the friggin' house. And he's flapping around. And I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And he's going crazy. So what'd you do? And Valerie's pregnant as can be. And I don't know, I think he got a broom or something. We somehow shooed the thing out of the house. It was the craziest thing. So that's how the day started.
Thank you for bringing this over.
And the bird is now fine, flies away. So anyway, we were hanging out, and it was a blast for me because, first of all, it was great to meet Valerie. I had never met her. She's literally 9 months pregnant at that point. And I was like, yeah, what are you naming the baby? She goes, Wolfgang. I'm like, Wolfgang? I go, you're Italian. She goes, I know, but she goes, Eddie's family. But I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
How do you pay tribute to one of the greatest guitarists from one of the greatest rock bands of all time? In collaboration with the mighty Sam Hill Customs, Masters of Shred proudly brings to you the limited edition Superhalen 1x12 stack. Each cabinet is scientifically crafted with the highest grade materials to give you that monstrous tone that will light up the sky. Hand-signed and dated by Sam Hill himself, these limited edition amps are limited to just 50 pieces. With no two finishes being the same, you can be assured that your Superhalen amp is one of a kind. Visit www.mastersofshred.com now to reserve yours today before you can't get this stuff no more.
And we were watching, I'll never forget, the Jets were playing. I don't know if they were in the playoffs because Mark Gastineau was playing,
Right.
which is a whole nother story. Gastineau was living with someone behind our good friend Steve Hoffman. And what was her name? His girlfriend at the time? The actress from Rocky. Rocky IV, the blonde.
Oh, gosh.
You're going around a
You,
tangent with us.
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you're talking about she was on
Bridget something.
Bridget Nielsen, right? She was on
Bridget
Solar
Nielsen.
Rehab.
Anyway, Bridget Nielsen had a
Whatever.
dress in our friend Steve Hoffman's closet. It's a whole other story. Anyway,
I think I was wrong on that. I don't think
Digressing.
it was not Celebrity Rehab. I think it was the Surreal Life on VH1.
Surreal. So we were watching the Jet game, blah, blah, blah.
Jet game,
And then he goes, you want to go check out the studio? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's of course.
So he takes me, we walk out through his
right?
garage, and I'll never forget it. There was a beautiful green Jag there. He said, that's Valerie's. I'm like, that car's great. And he had this Maserati truck at the time, and it looked like almost like what a Hummer would look like.
Really?
And I go, man, what did that thing run you? And he thought I said, what does it run? He goes, it does like 120 in the dirt. That's what he said. I'm like, oh my God.
That's great.
It's funny.
Whatever. So he brings me into 5150, and it was mind blowing. It was just him and I. We were hanging out, showed me the whole studio, and then he takes me. He had a room kind of like this because it was on top of his other garage.
Yeah.
Evidently, I guess they had owned the house next to it, and then anyway, this was so many years ago. But he brought me up, and he had, I guess, his workshop and all his guitars. And man, he starts pulling out guitars, and he pulled out the original
Frankenstein.
Right.
like
Yeah.
Frankenstein. And I'm like, and that's when I said, man, I wish Adam was here because this is beyond surreal.
It's insane.
Right.
It's totally surreal.
Him and Eddie and all his guitars, and he's showing him everything.
And
And this was
good.
1990.
90,
Yeah.
1990.
So technically, I think he was with Music Man at that time, right? Ernie Ball? Or they had not done that yet. He took the Kramers into like 1991, right?
Yeah, I think this is right
think it's
before
before all
he
that,
went
yeah.
into the Kramers.
I think so.
It was before Ernie Ball.
It
with the Music
was,
Man.
it was
Yeah,
before-
yeah.
So it's
it
still
was
the 84
it was those
Kramer.
hockey stick.
Yeah. so
Yes,
it's still
it
the
was
Kramers.
definitely, yeah.
It was the Kramer Berettas. Okay.
So
wow.
anyway, blah, blah, blah. We hang out. It was great. And we go back in the house. He goes, let me show you something really cool. And I swear to God, we're in his family room, the den, and he walks toward the fireplace and opens a door like you couldn't tell. And there's a full court racquetball court in the house.
Through the fireplace.
Through next to the fireplace. And you walk in, but sitting on a stand is an acoustic guitar in the middle of this racquetball court. I'm like, what the hell's going on? He goes, you got to check this out, man. He goes, I've recorded everywhere, mobile trucks. I built this friggin' racquetball court. It's the best natural reverb I've ever heard in my life. And he starts playing. And I'm in there, and it was a song that ended up on the next album because I remembered it years later. I don't even know what it was now. And I was like, this is just so surreal. Like, it's me, him, and now he's playing this new piece just so we can hear reverb in a racquetball court that's in his house. Like, the whole thing was...
It's a good story, right?
And
it
that
was
was
crazy.
And that would have been, gosh, now I'm going to probably edit this out because the
I know.
Van Halen fanatics are going
I
to
know.
chew me
Yeah,
down.
you will.
Was it for unlawful carnal knowledge?
I don't know.
I don't
Because
even
that
know.
was when he was with Music Man. So that came out after your visit.
Right.
Was it 316 he played?
I don't know.
Slow
This
piece,
is
just
an
instrumental?
It was slow. It was an acoustic
edit,
piece.
and you'll play the piece.
But I'm almost positive it was
Dude.
on the
We can
next
look it up
album.
right
'cause
now.
I-
So he played that in the racquetball
Yeah,
court.
he was
Him and Gerard.
like he was noodling and...
Do you remember what kind of acoustic guitar it was?
I don't.
No.
I'm not a gearhead,
Oh.
admittedly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
This is the wrong show for me.
Damn. That is so wild.
But it was
Nice
crazy.
story.
So,
Wow, that's a great story.
yeah.
man.
No, that we had...
I was
It
like,
was
holy shit,
crazy.
Gerard. I drilled Gerard. I'm like, what was, I say anything, I'm like, what happened to this? What was this? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what?
What I would have done for a cell phone
I
then,
know.
I would have just FaceTimed.
Right.
I know, but no, it was cool that, the cool
'Cause
part
Eddie
was,
cool as shit. Like, he would have totally...
but the cool
talked
part
and
was
hung
that,
out and answered any questions.
the fact that it just happened naturally, no fan thing, it's just like, hey, you're at the house, let's check it out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was like, you want to go check it? I'm like, yeah.
Dude, I've heard similar stories to that where they go over his house with guys like Steve Brown.
Yeah.
He would talk about
Right.
that. They would go to the beach with Wolfgang, who was just born, and from around the same time.
Right.
It
And
had
then
been right around that.
it seemed like I had heard that in the late '90s and then the early 2000s, he kind of became distant from everybody, which I think
Right.
leads into that time with the Sammy Hagar reunited tour with Sammy, and then they had
he
like
talks about that in the book, Rosen. I thought he got diagnosed in 2000. That's what Steve
Right.
Rosen wrote.
Right.
With
So-
cancer, and he was having marital issues. So that's probably why he got
right.
busted.
My
That makes sense.
my good buddy was he still is. He's a private pilot. Big shout out to Ray there. And Ray was telling me that he flew Eddie Van Halen at the airport during that time. He saw him in front of him. He goes, "Dude, you're Eddie Van Halen?" He goes, "Yeah." And he was flying the band, and Eddie, I believe, took a separate jet. Sammy and the rest of the band had their own jet. Eddie took his own jet.
All right. It's good
That's
to
how
have
it
that kind of
works.
budget.
Crazy, right? So he had to get just his own plane, but that was during that time. I'm like, you lucky bastard, you met him.
Wild.
Crazy stuff. That's a hell of a story there, huh?